Morning, everyone. We are learning Mishnah is Tainus, Parak Dalet, Chapter 4, Mishnah Aleph, Mishnah 1. Let's begin with an introduction. The Kohanim are required to recite Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessing, when the Shemona Esrei is repeated in public. That is when it's done. Thus is recited. Now, this is, what I'm going to read right now is, let's call it the essential halacha, the essential way of doing it. Thus, it is recited every morning during Shachris, during the morning service, and on Shabbos or Yontif during Musaf, the additional service as well. Now, the Torah commands the Kohanim to bless the Jewish people. And this commandment is fulfilled, reading here from the notes, by blessing the congregation at least once a day. In the Beis HaMikdash, the Kohanim recited the blessing after the morning tamid was offered. Right? We had the Karban Tamid, the daily sacrifice. It was communal sacrifice for all the Jewish people. It was done in the morning and the afternoon. The Birchas Kohanim was recited in the Beis HaMikdash in the morning after the offering of the afternoon, after the morning Tamid offering. And outside the Beis HaMikdash, it was recited together with the final blessing of the Shemona Esrei by, again, the repetition. Before the final bracha, before the final blessing of Sim Shalom, during the repetition, that is when the Birchas Kohanim is said. Practically speaking, in Ashkenazic communities outside of Israel, we do the Birchas Kohanim, blessings of the Kohanim, which we call duchening, is done only on Yontif in the morning by Shachris. But by Sfardim, everywhere, and mostly in Eretz Yisrael, even by Ashkenazim, they will duchen every day in the morning by Shachris. Now, the question is, why is duchening only happening by Shachris? Why not by Mincha? And the answer to that is that the sages decreed that the Kohanim not recite the Birchas Kohanim in the afternoon during Mincha, the afternoon service, because they may have drunk alcoholic beverages during the midday meal and become intoxicated. Intoxicated doesn't mean they're drunk. I believe it's a revius, a few ounces of wine, already invalidates a Kohen from being able to do any of the service in the Beis HaMikdash, and that law applies to their blessings too. And therefore, in order to make sure that Kohanim don't duchen by Mincha intoxicated, therefore, the sages instituted no Birchas Kohanim, no priestly blessings by Mincha. So therefore, you're going to have your Birchas Kohanim whenever it is done. Whenever it's done, it's going to be done in the morning, be it by Shachris every day, and by Musaf on Shabbos, Yontif, Rosh Chodesh. Okay, now let's begin our Mishnah. Now I'm going to read the Mishnah as is. And then I'm going to read it the way it needs to be. It needs to be read. I'm going to read it the way simply it's put, and there's going to be an obvious question. B'shloisha parakim b'ashana. There are 3 times a year. Kohanim noisin es kapehen. The Kohanim lift their hands. Very often we find that the Birchas Kohanim is referred to as Birchas Kohanim, the priestly blessings, or Nesias Kapayim, the raising of the hands, because when the Kohanim give the blessings, they raise their hand, they pick up their hands in a special way. So the Mishnah, therefore, when it talks about the priestly blessings, it uses the words nosenes kapeyim, to lift their hands. So 3 times a year, the Kohanim lift their hands, 4 times in a day. 3 times a year, the Kohanim will do the Birchas Kohanim, do the priestly blessings, 4 times in a day. What are those 4 times? B'shachris, in the morning service, b'musaf, during the musaf service, uva mincha, and during the mincha afternoon service, uva ne'ilah sha'arim, and by the closing of the gates. On Yom Kippur, we're familiar with ne'ilah. That's the 4th prayer. And we only say that 4th prayer of ne'ilah on Yom Kippur. Okay? But the 4 times in one day mentioned, those 4 times are Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah Sha'arim. Okay? Now, the Mishnah said we do this 3 times a year. What are those 3 times? The Mishnah concludes Betanius on public fasts, communal fasts, all the fasts we're discussing until now due to drought or other calamities. That's tiniest. Those are fast days. Uva ma'amados, and by ma'amados. Now, ma'amados, we're going to explain. We're going to elaborate more in tomorrow's Mishnah. But ma'amados are, as the way the Art Scroll puts it very well, groups of people who are appointed to pray for the acceptance of the public offerings. We mentioned that the Kohanim were divided into 24 groups, and they serve twice a year, once a week. So you have your group of Kohanim for the week. You also have your group of non-Kohanim that were designated for, the groups were divided again into groups per week, and their job was to pray for the acceptance of the public offerings, meaning the daily sacrifice or public offerings are being brought. Their job was to pray that they be accepted. Okay, so that's the second of the times. Yom Kippur and Yom Kippur. So if we put it all together, the Mishnah reads 3 times a year, the Kohanim duchen in one day 4 times. What are those 3 times? Fast days, Ma'amados, and Yom Kippur. And that makes no sense, because one of the 4 times is Musaf. There is no Musaf on a fast day. There is no Musaf by a Maimed. There's Musaf on Yom Kippur, but there's no Musaf on a fast day. Now, you may be wondering, how about Ne'ilah? Yeah, Ne'ilah actually is recited by the communal fast that we mentioned before, and by the people who are participating in the Ma'amados, and on Yom Kippur. So the Ne'ilah part is not the problem. It's the Musaf part that's the problem. And therefore, the way to read the Mishnah is the following. I'm going to go back to the beginning. 3 times a year, the Kohanim lift their hands by every prayer, including Mincha. Even though typically they don't daven, they don't do the Berachos by Mincha, 3 times a year, the Kohanim will lift their hands anytime there's a prayer, which includes Mincha. And then there'll be a day where it's Arba Pamim Bayayim, where it'll be 4 times in one day. Those 4 times are, again, Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah. The 3 times we're referring to that the Kohanim will do the Berachos Kohanim by every prayer by day, that is, okay? And there'll be one of those times where they'll do it 4 times. Those 3 times are fast days, Ma'amados, and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a day that it's going to be 4 times because it has the Musaf with the Ne'ilah. So that's how to read the Mishnah. The point of the Mishnah is that there'll be times that the Kohanim will duchen every time they pray by day. Now, the thing we still have to explain is, we said before, the sages decreed no Berachos Kohanim, no priestly blessings by Mincha because of intoxication. But here we're saying on these 3 times, they will duchen by Mincha. And the answer is because these are fast days. And if they're fast days, you don't have to be concerned that the Kohanim are going to be drunk because they're fasting. Or that they drank wine to the point of not being able to do the Berachos Kohanim. It's irrelevant. It's a fast day. It's not a problem. And therefore, they can do the Berachos Kohanim even by Mincha. Now, I just want to conclude that these Ma'amados, these groups that are praying that the daily sacrifices be accepted. So in the notes it's brought down here, the members of the Ma'amados recited Ne'ilah each day. Don't forget, they were there for a week. I don't think they did it on Shabbos, but during the whole week that they were there, they said Ne'ilah every day. That would be, actually it says it, Sunday through Thursday. Sunday through Thursday, they said Ne'ilah. And they fasted Monday through Thursday, which means they ate at night. But they fasted all these days. On the days that they fasted, Berachos Kohanim was recited 3 times. Shachris, Mincha, and Ne'ilah. So that was the layout. Ne'ilah was Sunday through Thursday. Fasting was Monday through Thursday. And anytime they fasted, which was Monday through Thursday, they duchened even by Mincha. Because since they're fasting, there's no concern about that they may become intoxicated by drinking wine. Have a wonderful day.